What is up, my friends? Welcome to the World Series preview of Flippin' Bats. It all starts today. Dodgers, Yankees for the first time since 1981. I don't care. I don't care if you're a fan of the Dodgers or the Yankees or not. We may never see a World Series again with this much star power. Think about it. You have Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Mookie Betts, Juan Soto, Freddie Freeman, Giancarlo Stanton. As a fan of the game of baseball, there's no way that this series doesn't excite you. There is absolutely no way. The two top teams, the two biggest brands, the biggest brand on the East Coast, the biggest brand on the West Coast. Again, the first time since 1981, the 12th time ever. Man, this is exciting. And today, we're going to break down the entire matchup. Who has the advantage in each category? Starting pitching, bullpen, offense, lineup, base running, all of that. And also three big questions. My three big questions for this series. Whose legacy is bigger for this series? Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge? Which coach needs this more? Which manager needs this more? Aaron Boone or Dave Roberts? And lastly, which franchise needs this the most? The New York Yankees or the Los Angeles Dodgers? So I am excited for this episode. Remember, shout out to our new sponsor, Go Sleeves. If you haven't heard of Go Sleeves, please check them out. GoSleeves.com/Verlander. That's Go Sleeves, not Ghost Sleeves. Go Sleeves. GoSleeves. GoSleeves.com/Verlander. It is the only thing on the market, only sleeve on the market that has the Kinesio tape built into it. So it's perfect for recovery. They have knee sleeves, arm. Just go check it all out. It's incredible, and pumped to have them on as a sponsor of the show. So make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment, like the video. That all really helps. I always hop in the comments. Love being in there in the YouTube channel. So Flippin' Bats Pod there to watch everything we do. But let's get to it. Let's talk about this series. The first time in the history of baseball, long time, first time in the history of baseball that two guys that hit 50 home runs in the regular season will be playing against each other in the World Series. Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge there. You have obviously two big franchises, but two big franchises with a lot of pressure on them. The Dodgers are in a long stretch, other than that 2020 season. They did win the World Series in 2020, but they've been the best team in baseball for this decade. And they have won shortened season championship to show for it. And it's a team that has continued to push and sign and trade. We've seen years where they traded for Trey Turner and Max Scherzer in the same year. They make huge deadline moves. This year wasn't really that year. They went and got Tommy Edman, Michael Kopech, and Jack Flaherty, and that turned out to be the reason they are in the World Series. A lot of pressure on the Dodgers over there. On the Yankees side of things, haven't even been to a World Series since 2009. They did spend some money. They did make some moves. They did go get Juan Soto, and now they're here, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. But there is a lot of pressure on them to win this World Series as well. So, yes, the two biggest teams, the two biggest franchises, but two teams that don't really necessarily have that much success over the last decade plus. So a lot of pressure on both of them. So my three big questions for this series. One, whose legacy is bigger? Whose legacy is this bigger for? Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge? Now, I think many of you listening and watching right now are going to say Aaron Judge. Right? It's Shohei Ohtani's first season with the Dodgers. He's younger. Aaron Judge with the Yankees. He's the captain. They haven't won. But I'm going to say the opposite of that. And many of you might disagree. I think the legacy question, that word legacy for me is what makes this bigger for Shohei Ohtani. I don't think people are saying that Aaron Judge could potentially be the greatest baseball player of all time. We do say that for Shohei. We do say this guy either is the greatest of all time, he's the most talented of all time, He could be the greatest of all time. Those are conversations we have there. And I think winning a championship really matters for that. Stats are one thing, right? But a legacy is built in October, and a legacy is built around winning. And if he can win the World Series in his first year with a franchise that has struggled to get over the hump, struggled to get out of the first round of the playoffs with the best team in the playoffs, I think that does wonders for that legacy. Again, the Dodgers aren't here right now if it's not for Shohei Ohtani. Game one of the playoffs, down 3-0 against the Padres, 3-run homer to tie it. Place is going nuts. They don't win that game without that homer. They don't win that series without winning game one because they needed to win game 4 and 5 back to back. So I don't think he's yet having the MVP Shohei Ohtani, greatest player of all time type of postseason. I think he's been really good. But I think in the World Series, if Shohei goes on to win World Series MVP and the Dodgers win the World Series and he hits multiple home runs and has big moments, I think that's bigger for his legacy because I think Shohei Ohtani's legacy is greatest player of all time. I think Aaron Judge's legacy is going to be, where does he rank amongst New York Yankees captains, the all-time greats of the New York Yankees? Where does he rank amongst the Derek Jeters? Where does he rank amongst the Babe Ruths if we're going to go all the way back? And that's a massive conversation to have. But we don't have the greatest of all time conversation for Aaron Judge. And it's whether it's fair or not, it's because he doesn't do what Shohei does. We've never seen a player do what Shohei does other than essentially Babe Ruth, who we do have that greatest of all time conversation with. So whose legacy is this bigger for? I'm going to say Shohei Ohtani because I think winning a championship propels him further into that conversation of this is the greatest player of all time. And if we look up at the end of his career, at the end of his Dodgers tenure, and say in his 10 years there, he won 5 championships. I'm not saying that's realistic, but 3 to 5 championships in his tenure there. Good Lord, that's the greatest player we've ever seen. I already say that. I don't think there's a world around it if he ends up winning multiple championships with the Dodgers, and that starts with this World Series. His first opportunity to do it could come in just a couple of days with this World Series. So I'll take Shohei Ohtani there. Next question. Which manager needs this more? Aaron Boone or Dave Roberts? Now, many of you listeners of the show, viewers of the show on YouTube, doesn't matter where you listen or watch, you know that this show is largely just positive baseball, what you need to know. I can give you inside scoop. I can give you in the weeds details about hitting. I can do all of that, but it's largely a very positive show. But I have been critical the past few years of really 2 managers. And those 2 managers are in the World Series, Dave Roberts and Aaron Boone. I think a lot of these 2 managers have a lot of pressure on themselves. And in Wednesday's episode with John Smoltz, we honestly talked about this. A lot of the pressure is essentially alleviated off of these guys because getting there is huge. But winning does add more, and the manager that loses will next year just add more and more fuel to that fire. So, though I've been critical in the past, I think a good job of these 2 managers to get here. My answer, which manager needs this more? I'm going to go with Aaron Boone here. When you are the manager of the New York Yankees, winning championships is all that matters. And the organization built that, right? Like it really is different. And it might be weird to say, but it's true. It's just different for the New York Yankees. They're one of the most well-known brands in the entire world. They're one of the most wealthy brands in the entire world. They have more championships than most anybody in the world. They have more championships by far than anyone in the game of baseball. Babe Ruth built this. Babe Ruth built the Yankees' legacy. And that still means something to this day, which is why saying they haven't been there in 15 years is embarrassing for the franchise. There's plenty of franchises that haven't been there in 15 years. There's plenty that have never been there. But for the Yankees, it just is different. It does mean more. And when you're the Yankees manager, when you're Aaron Boone, you're not judged based off of getting to the playoffs. You're not judged even on AL pennants. You're judged on winning a title. And the truth of the matter is, in the history of the New York Yankees, there has never been a manager that has been there at least 7 years that has not won a World Series. There has never, in the history of the Yankees, been a manager that has been this unproductive bringing a title to the franchise that has been allowed to stick around as long as Aaron Boone has been. You have to go all the way back to the 60s to find a manager that has been there 7 years that didn't win a title. Ralph Houck. But the difference, he went 7 years and then got fired after his 7 years. Aaron Boone is in his 7th year now. But the difference there is that was his second tenure. Ralph Houck took back over. Ralph Houck won 2 out of 3 World Series. Then it turned to the Yogi Berra era, and then Houck came back, and then 7 years without winning a championship. The only manager since the 60s to even go multiple years without winning a World Series was Lou Piniella, who 2 years, and Buck Showalter 4. So I have no issue saying that in the history of the Yankees, there has never been a manager this unproductive in terms of bringing titles to the organization that Aaron Boone has been. That has to change, in my opinion. He has managed this organization for 7 years and hasn't won a World Series, much less even gotten to the World Series. He's there, finally, and now he needs to win it, in my opinion. I don't think he's in jeopardy of getting fired and getting relieved of duties after this year since he got there. But if you don't win a World Series this year, and then next year you don't make it to the World Series, I don't see a world in which Aaron Boone sticks around. Now, this is a different era, right? We're in the Hal Steinbrenner era, not the George Steinbrenner era. George had Ralph Houck win 2 out of 3 World Series and said, we're going to make a change. We're going to bring in Yogi Berra. Obviously, a lot went on with the Yogi Berra situation. If you haven't watched the Yogi Berra documentary, I believe it's on HBO, but it is unbelievable and really gives great insight into everything that went down with him and George and all of that. But he brought in Yogi Berra and then went back to Ralph Houck. I mean, it's been a long time for the Yankees to go this long without winning a World Series. So my long-winded answer for what manager needs this more, I'm going to say it's Aaron Boone. And my third big 3 questions: which franchise needs this the most? Well, this ties back in a little bit to number 2, but the franchise that needs this the most is the New York Yankees. Again, Yankees, 27 titles. We all know that. Not had one since 2009. Tied for the longest drought. Look, 27 titles compared to the Dodgers 7. 41 pennants compared to the Dodgers 25. For the New York Yankees, titles are everything. And they are in their longest drought, the second longest World Series drought in the history of the Yankees. History of the New York Yankees. That's since 1913. Second longest World Series drought in history. And they are tied for the longest drought ever, not winning the American League and at least making it to the World Series. So what franchise needs this more? It's the New York Yankees. Biggest organization, biggest brand in baseball, one of the top 2, New York Yankees and the Dallas Cowboys, top 2 franchises in all of sports, all those titles. It's the New York Yankees. Which franchise needs this more? It's the New York Yankees. So now it's time. Let's talk World Series. Let's talk Dodgers, Yankees. We're going to go through starting pitching, talk about the advantages there and what team shapes up well and how they fare against the other. Bullpen and how they'll attack each other. Base running, lineup, all of that, all leading up to my World Series prediction, who I think wins and in how many games. But let's start with the breakdown. What a matchup. First since 1981, Dodgers Yankees World Series. Let's start with the starting pitching. Starting pitching. Starting pitching. If you're the Dodgers, you only have three starters. Right? Jack Flaherty, Yamamoto, and Walker Buehler. Buehler's only going 4 innings. Yamamoto hasn't gone past the fifth. Jack Flaherty is really your one starter that's been giving you any depth, and in his last start wasn't great. Flaherty's the only guy to go over 5 innings. So really, from a Dodgers perspective, starting pitching is in a tricky spot, right? Really only three guys, and those guys aren't even giving you all that much depth. From the Yankees perspective, Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Clark Schmidt threw really well, has thrown well in the playoffs. Luis Gil has at least given them depth. So they have their four starters. You're getting Nestor back, but I don't believe Nestor is going to be in the starting rotation. I think he's going to be a long guy or a matchup guy as a lefty out of the bullpen. So for starting pitching, I'm going to go advantage Yankees. Fairly sizable advantage Yankees here. Again, the depth, just the number of arms in the rotation that you can get depth out of. Garrett Cole can go deep into games. Rodon can. Big question mark in this series. What Rodon are you getting? Is he going to be a guy that can go deep, or are you going to have to turn to your bullpen early? Clark Schmidt also giving you, it's just getting innings. And this is going to be a theme of this conversation because getting innings out of your starter is going to be huge so that you don't have to turn to your bullpen early. The Dodgers do have to turn to their bullpen early and often going to a bullpen game. They've already announced they're going to have to do at least one bullpen game, maybe two. So getting to the bullpen really matters, and maybe not so much in game one, right? These two teams aren't super familiar with each other. But when you have to bring in a bullpen arm in game one that you're also going to have to face in game 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, by game 7, you are super familiar with certain arms. So if you're the Dodgers and in inning 4, you're turning it over to one of your main guys that's also going to need to pitch in every game of this series. Well, that's advantage Yankees offense for that situation because the Yankees are still going with a starter, meaning less leverage innings and at bats seen by the Dodgers lineup. So I'm going to go advantage Yankees for the starting pitching. Let's move on to the bullpen. Bullpen is a really interesting matchup here. Dodgers have a lot of power righties with good breaking balls. Really opposite of Yankees have a lot of righties with really good changeups. So Dodgers are high velocity, hard sliders, and Yankees are sort of, I mean, they obviously have velocity guys, but really just like really good changeup guys, good off speed guys. Now, with this series, I think both of those can match up well with each other. A lot of power righties with good breaking balls for the Dodgers. Judge struggles with that, especially right now. Judge is struggling with that slider low and away, those hard sliders. That's also Giancarlo Stanton's weakness is high velo, hard sliders low and away. So we're already addressing two of their hottest hitters, Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. This Dodgers bullpen matches up pretty well with those guys. Now, Soto's weakness is, if there is one, is changeups, good changeups. And there's not a ton of changeup guys down there for the Dodgers. Obviously, they have changeups, but their specialty isn't the changeup. Sort of like a Tommy Kahnle, a Leiter, Mark Leiter Jr. Really good changeups there. And Shohei, I think if there's an area where Shohei struggles, that's with high velo and great changeup guys. Mookie struggles with changeups as well. So I think also a big advantage for the Yankees is maybe not a big advantage, but what are you going to get with Nestor Cortes coming back? Nestor could be huge for this series. You're going to get him back. What does he look like? I don't know, but being able to match him up with Shohei, I think will be huge. And Nestor already came out and said, hey, I don't really throw changeups to lefties. I never have done that. But I'm going to do that with Shohei. And whether that's true or not, whether he is going to do that or not, doesn't matter. It's already mind games, right? So I have a feeling that matchup between Nestor Cortes and Shohei Ohtani is going to show itself multiple times in this series, and we'll see how they shape out against each other. But I think that's a big talking point to watch throughout this. With the Dodgers bullpen, a huge, huge X factor for me this series is going to be what the Dodgers can get out of Alex Vesia. who has been hurt throughout the playoffs, was great for them this year. There is talks of him being back. Dave Roberts said he's optimistic about it. I think that's going to be huge, having that lefty down in the bullpen that you can go and match up with Juan Soto when you need to get him out in the biggest of at bats. Or if they do split up Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton with a lefty with either Rizzo or Chisholm, then you can bring in Alex Vesia to get Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, and that next lefty. So I think he's going to be a huge X factor here. So I'm gonna call bullpens a wash. I think what we're gonna see is two bullpens that have the ability to match up well with each other, to go after each other's strength. The Dodgers bullpen strength is high velo, good breaking balls. The Yankees the two of the three best hitters for the Yankees, Judge and Stanton, that's their weakness, is those hard breaking balls. On the Yankees side of things, their strength is really, really good changeups. Tommy Kahnle hasn't thrown a changeup since Little League. And it's really, really good. And that matches up well for two of the three Dodgers superstars. And then there's the question marks on each side, Vesia and Nestor. So I love these bullpen matchups and the way they're going to get used. So I'm going to call bullpens a wash. Starting pitching, advantage Yankees. Bullpen, wash. Let's go to lineups. Starting lineups, offensive lineups. And let's just go down it. Shohei Ohtani versus Gleyber Torres. Clear, easy. Advantage Shohei. Though Gleyber has been good in the playoffs. Clear advantage Shohei. Mookie Betts versus Juan Soto. Whew. This is tough. But I am going to go slight advantage here because Mookie's gotten better. But I'm going to go advantage Soto here. I think they're both top hitters in the game. Soto right now with how hot he is, and just in general, I would give him a slight edge. Freddie Freeman versus Aaron Judge. I'm going to go Aaron Judge. Then what the Dodgers have been doing in that four-hole, what each team has been doing, Tommy Edman versus Giancarlo Stanton. You call me crazy. We had this conversation 4 months ago. Neither are a strength. You have it a couple weeks ago, the conversation starts to change, and right now, I'm going to say it's a wash. Tommy Edman, NLCS MVP. Giancarlo Stanton, ALCS MVP. Very, very different hitters. Very different hitters. You ask me who has more power potential, it's a different conversation. But right now, I'll give Edman Stanton a wash. So advantage Dodgers, advantage Yankees wash. Teoscar Hernandez versus Anthony Rizzo. Give me Teoscar. Muncy versus Jazz right now for sure. Give me Muncy. And then 7 through 9 in the lineup, I go strong advantage. Los Angeles Dodgers. You're going to get some form of playoff legend Kike Hernandez. All-star Will Smith, who has struggled but did hit a big home run late in the other series. Andy Pages, who's had really good at-bats throughout the postseason. So just that combination of however you want to match up guys with Kike, Will Smith, Andy Pages, Chris Taylor, those guys, I like better than some form of Austin Wells, who's hitting .091 in the postseason. Anthony Volpe, Alex Verdugo, who's hitting well under 200 in the postseason. So give me a strong advantage there to the Dodgers, and really give me a strong advantage. Lineup 1 through 9, in my opinion, goes to the Dodgers. The New York Yankees. The Yankees are in the World Series, and everybody's rightfully so talking about the big three in their lineup. But call me crazy, the New York Yankees are hitting .230 as a team in their 9 playoff games. Well, that's not good. Yes, they've had big moments. They've faced the Royals and the Guardians. Neither team, I would say, is considered the big bad Royals and the big bad Guardians. Yes, each team pitches well. And the Guardians bullpen was considered to be one of, if not the best in baseball, for sure the best in the American League. And the Yankees win that series. They win the series against the Royals. But let's not pretend like they're hitting great as a team. They're hitting .230 as a team in their 9 playoff games. On the other side of things, the Dodgers, you want to talk about best bullpen, The Dodgers manhandled the San Diego Padres bullpen when they needed to. And that's their strength. There's also the argument that the Padres have the best bullpen in the game of baseball. That was a great series, but the Dodgers' path, while hitting much better, is not near the path that the Yankees had. Dodgers had to go through the Padres and then the Mets. That Padres series was just an absolute heavyweight bout. Then you have to play the Mets, the hottest team in baseball. And now you're here, and they've been firing on all cylinders. Their offense has been historically good throughout these postseasons and throughout this postseason. And the series with the Mets, historically good. So give me the Dodgers lineup, and give me the Dodgers lineup by a, a good bit. 1 through 4, different question. I go close to a wash there, right? But 5 through 9 in the lineup to me is where that separation becomes huge, and where the Dodgers have a much better ability to get guys on base for Shohei Ohtani at the top of the lineup. The Yankees aren't really bringing guys up to the plate at the top of the lineup with runners in scoring position. Glaber's leading off, and oftentimes the bottom of the lineup just ain't cutting it. And that's not going to cut it in this series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. You can get outslugged in this series. They have not played in a series yet in the playoffs that they could get outslugged by the opponent. They can't. They've overmatched everybody. You're not going to overmatch the Dodgers. And the Dodgers' depth in the lineup, I think, is going to play a huge factor in this series. Just for shits and gigs, let's do base running. Advantage Dodgers. The biggest advantage you could possibly have in the world. Dodgers, a good base running team. New York Yankees look like my Goochland Little League team when everyone would rather a snack than to finish the game. When everybody would accidentally run to third base instead of first base. The New York Yankees are one of the worst base running teams that I have ever seen. It's insane. And call me crazy for even bringing this up, because it is largely a joke, and it's not a joke, but it is like a funny aspect. But call me crazy. We could see a game in this series. We 100% could see a game change in this series because of a base running blunder from the New York Yankees. We've seen it throughout the playoffs multiple times. They just overmatched their opponent. You make those same mistakes now against the Dodgers, you're screwed, and it could cost you a World Series game. So massive advantage Dodgers there in the base running department. So starting pitching, I go advantage Yankees by a good bit. Bullpen, I go wash. Lineup, advantage Dodgers by a good bit. Base running, advantage Dodgers, but not as big of a deal. So with all of that said, it's time for my prediction, my friends. My prediction for this World Series is that it goes 7 games. My prediction for this World Series is that home field advantage is going to really matter. My World Series prediction is the Los Angeles Dodgers over the New York Yankees in 7 games. There's not a world in which this series doesn't get back to Los Angeles for game 6 and 7. There's not a world in which it ends in 5 games, I don't think. There's not going to be blowouts in this series, which has been another thing that the Dodgers have had the benefit of, is blowouts and all of the NLCS, meaning you don't have to turn to your higher leverage arms in certain situations. You can either not necessarily punt a game, but Dave Roberts did essentially punt a game and just left Jack Flaherty out there when he wasn't feeling well, didn't look good, punted that game, but allowed the bullpen to not use your leverage arms. And that matters as a series gets deeper. That's why I think this goes 7 games. And that's why I think this is really even matchup on paper. The Dodgers bullpen and their usage worries me. I think both bullpens are good and they can use them to expose the other team's best players at times. But the Dodgers bullpen is going to have to be used more, and I don't love that. But offensively, I just think the Dodgers can outslug the Yankees. I think their lineup, top to bottom, is better. And I think that will show itself in games 6 and 7 of this series, in which one of them is going to have to be a bullpen game. They don't know yet which game is going to be a bullpen game, if it's 3 or 4. Well, think about that. If game 3 or 4 is a bullpen game, we're probably going to have to go a bullpen game in game 6 or 7, which, again, we'll see how that shakes out. It's worked out for them twice already. We'll see how it goes. Dodgers and 7 is my prediction. I cannot wait. Friday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. I will be there on site at Dodger Stadium for this game. Plans throughout the World Series. I'll be at a lot of the games. I'm going to be traveling to New York as well. Planning to figure out, obviously, if you listen with John Smoltz, we do that every single week. Going to figure out timing with Smoltz next week. Going to figure out timing of episodes. So make sure you're subscribed. Wherever you listen to your podcast, hit that subscribe button so you're updated whenever a new episode comes out. And give it a 5-star review. And on YouTube, leave a comment. Hit that like button right now if you haven't yet. That does really help. And leave a comment, and I'll hop in the comments as I always do and have a conversation with you guys. I love doing that. But it's important to subscribe as well, because we'll see. The schedule throughout this World Series might look a little bit different, but I'm going to be there on site bringing you the sights and sounds and bringing you guys along with me, as I like to do every single step of the way, every single year. So I love you guys. World Series prediction. Dodgers in 7 is my prediction. And Shohei Ohtani. I'll go one further. Shohei Ohtani, World Series MVP, creating that legacy more and more so, and becoming, in my opinion, the greatest baseball player of all time. So I appreciate it. Make sure you follow along on all social media as well, at Flippin' Bats Pod, Flippin' Bats Pod on YouTube as well. Thanks again to our partner, Go Sleeves. Enjoy the World Series, everyone. Game 1 Friday, Game 2 Saturday, Travel Day Sunday, then 3 in New York. I cannot wait. Until next time, my friends, go back and listen to that Smoltz episode. It was really good. Remember, find your bat and flip it. Peace.